You just won't believe it, but there are moments on the railway that will leave you speechless. Today, I'm going to talk about blunders that will make you wonder how they even happened. This is a collection of the most bizarre and strange mistakes that will not only make you smile but also seriously make you think about how on earth this is even possible. Buckle up, because ahead is a real roller coaster of absurdity that will make you see the railway in a whole new light. The blazing ball rolled along the railway tracks. It veered off into the forest and vanished. As he approached the pole, he began to spark intensely. After that, the ball quickly veered off into the forest and disappeared. No, this is not a scene from a sci-fi movie, but a real recording. Ball lightning was filmed by Kirill Gorbushin, a resident of Novosibirsk, Russia, in 2020. My car broke down, so I walked to the nearest train station. Near Riva station, I saw a ball on the railway, Kirill recounted. Everything crackled with tension. The fear came later. It all happened so fast that he didn't have time to be scared. Everything around was literally crackling with tension. According to the man, the fear came later. Everything happened so fast that in those brief moments, he didn't even have time to be scared. But he managed to capture a rare phenomenon on camera. Now I realize how risky it was to try to film lightning, the Novosibirsk resident admitted. Emergency services confirmed that Kirill was really lucky to come out unscathed. The path of ball lightning is completely unpredictable, and instead of risking his life for a shot, it would have been better to hide somewhere far away. Plus, a mobile phone is also a source of energy. The path of ball lightning is completely unpredictable, and instead of risking your life for a shot, it would be better to hide somewhere far away. Besides, the mobile phone is also a source of energy, and it's unknown how the ball lightning could have reacted to it, explained specialists from the main emergency management department in the Novosibirsk region. A real ghost train was caught on surveillance cameras at a railway station in the Baotou district of China. The video was posted on the paranormal YouTube channel Hidden Underbelly 2.0, reportedly sent from China. The ghost train was captured on March 10, 2018, and shocked station staff who saw it. A worker with 12 years of service had never seen anything so terrifying. In the video, the sound of an approaching train is clear, but the train is almost invisible. Only the headlights are visible, while the rest is transparent. One of the workers noted that in his 12 years of service at that location, he had never seen anything so terrifying. The video clearly shows the sound of an approaching train, but the train itself is barely visible. Only the headlights are visible. The rest of the train and carriages are almost transparent. The ghost train sits at the station for a while, as if waiting for passengers to get off and board, yet there are no living people on the platform. After that, it starts moving and leaves. You can see that it's a pretty long train, made up of about 10 cars, each of which is semi-transparent. In the comments under the video, users shared their theories about the nature of the phenomenon. Some people wrote that it was a train from a parallel universe, while others believed it was the result of military experiments. Skeptics claimed that it was just one recording overlaid on another. What do you think? Leave your comments below, stay tuned, and you'll hear some truly shocking stories that happened on the railroad. This story began on the night of January 11, 2004, at the locomotive depot in the Russian city of Fokhovstroy, part of the October Railway. A crew took over the shift, consisting of engineer Eduard Garchakov and his assistant Alexander Abdurakhmanov. Garchakov showed up for his shift a little late, claiming he just overslept. His colleagues didn't think much of it, nor did they pay much attention to the engineer's unusual outfit. He was dressed in a festive suit and a bow tie. The medics, eager to get the crew out on the line as soon as possible, quickly conducted the mandatory medical check on Garchakov. There were no questions about his health. After that, the crew headed to the Murmansky Vorota station, where 58 freight cars were attached to their locomotive. And that's when the engineer's behavior started raising some eyebrows. He ignored the brake system check and didn't connect the necessary control devices. As they approached the Kukol station, despite the dispatcher's instructions to slow down and yield to the oncoming train, Garchakov increased the speed. Abdurakhmanov tried to intervene, but the engineer threatened him with physical violence. The assistant didn't argue. At the Kukol station, the train, driven by the crazed engineer, damaged a switch and went onto the main track under a red semaphore signal, continuing its movement and creating a real threat of disaster. To make sure no one could interfere with him, Gorchakov turned off the radio in the cabin. The only way to calm the madman was by cutting off the power to the entire section. The train stopped a little over 6 miles from the Tsviliova station, which allowed the assistant to run away. The de-energized train, abandoned on a steep descent, began to roll back, traveling about 1.5 kilometers in the direction of Valya station before finally stopping. The crazy journey lasted 47 minutes, during which the train covered almost 25 miles, reaching speeds of up to 59 miles per hour in some sections. During the arrest, the engineer didn't resist. He stayed in the cabin in a complete daze. He was sent to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed him with acute delusional psychosis with aggressive manifestations. Why did this person decide to cross the tracks right in front of an oncoming train? The video captured the moment when the electric train Lastaka collided with a car at a railway crossing in the Leningrad region of Russia, near Gachina. On the footage, you can see the car driving onto the tracks, even though the driver could easily see the approaching train. It's worth noting that the crossing was equipped with all the necessary safety measures. The footage shows the car driving onto the tracks, even though the driver could easily see the approaching train. It is worth noting that the crossing was equipped with all necessary safety equipment. It is known that the driver attempted emergency braking, but the distance to the car was too small to prevent an accident. But was it really worth taking such a risk? In just a few minutes, the crossing would have been open for traffic again. The crisis in Germany's automotive industry is already off the charts, and now there's this incident where a train carrying new cars collided with a truck loaded with boulders. As a result of the incident, one person was injured, and it wasn't the truck driver. In the comments on the video, viewers are wondering if the truck driver has insurance and whether it will cover the repair costs for the damaged locomotive. The accident happened on December 12, 2024. However, it's reported that disruptions in the railway service could continue until Wednesday. It's a transportation collapse. On July 6, 2013, a freight train belonging to the American-Canadian Railway Company Montreal, Maine and Atlantic Railway arrived at a station in the town of Nantes, Quebec, in the Eastern Townships region. The train consisted of 73 tank cars filled with crude oil and was headed to Maine, USA. The engineer, following the rules of the railroads in the US and Canada, set the train's brakes and went to rest at a hotel. Company representatives assured that the train's braking system is protected from unauthorized interference. The next morning, another driver had to continue the train's movement. But during the night, for unknown reasons, the train started moving and gradually picked up speed, heading toward the town of Lac-Mégantic, which is over 155 miles from Montreal. The train entered the station and derailed. Some of the oil spilled into the river, while another part exploded and caught fire. The fire raged for almost 2 days, and some residents of the town, which has a population of about 6,000, had to be evacuated. The fire destroyed about 30 buildings. The deaths of 3 people have been officially confirmed. More than 500 others were injured. About 40 people are considered missing. Witnesses say that all the patrons in one of the local bars could have perished in the flames when a wave of fire hit. 7. On December 7, 2024, a serious accident occurred in the Russian city of Labinsk in the Krasnodar Krai. A 19-year-old young man, driving a Lada VAZ 2110, was crossing an unregulated railway crossing when a train was moving towards him. The engineer tried to brake, but he couldn't avoid the collision. This incident was captured on camera. The press service of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Kuban reported that 3 people were injured in the accident, the driver and 2 female passengers, who were 23 and 16 years old, respectively. The injured were promptly taken to the hospital to receive the necessary medical care. It also turned out that the driver got his license only a year ago. The Western Interregional Transport Investigation Department has already started looking into this incident. And the guy probably wanted to show off in front of the girls. But the attempt was unsuccessful. In Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, a tragedy happened as a motorcyclist attempted to cross a railway in front of an oncoming train but failed. A 65-year-old local, ignoring the red light and barrier, decided to cross. Witnesses said the train's sound was clear from afar. A local resident, who was 65 years old, despite the red traffic light and the closed barrier, decided to cross the pedestrian crossing. Witnesses to the tragedy claim that the noise of the approaching train was distinct and could be heard from afar. What exactly pushed this experienced driver to take such a dangerous action remains a mystery. Maybe he didn't see the train because of the glaring building or hoped he could slip through in time. However, that risk turned out to be fatal and they couldn't save the man. Perhaps he didn't notice the train because of the glittering building, or he hoped that he would have time to slip past. However, that risk turned out to be fatal and they couldn't save the man. On May 15, 2001, CSX-48, a CSX transportation train, was at Stanley Station in Ohio, USA. The train consisted of 47 cars, 22 of which were loaded, and 25 were empty. The train was performing switching operations at the station when the engineer, who was alone in the cab, noticed that the switch had directed the train onto the wrong track. Slowing the train to 8 miles per hour, the engineer jumped off. However, the train sped up and he couldn't hold on to the slippery handrails, eventually falling. But when the railroad worker found himself on the ground, he realized that the train had started to speed up. The engineer tried to get back into the cab, but he couldn't hold on to the slippery handrails from the rain and, after sliding about 65 feet along the embankment, he fell. Meanwhile, the train set off on its own journey. There was particular concern about the presence of 2 tank cars filled with liquid phenol. The accident could have led to a leak of over 2,199 gallons of this highly toxic substance. All attempts to stop the train using external brakes and to get into the locomotive's cab were unsuccessful. After a while, the dispatchers stopped the Q63615 train that was heading towards the runaway. The experienced crew was ordered to detach from their train and start the chase after the runaway cars. Finally, they managed to catch up with the runaway train, connect to it, and slow it down. Then one of the railroad workers managed to get into the locomotive's cab and brought the train to a complete stop. In just under 2 hours, the CSX-48 train covered nearly 66 miles, reaching a maximum speed of 47 miles per hour. The only person injured in this story was the engineer himself, who tried to switch the track while on the move and got hurt while trying to get back into the cab. 9 years later, a disaster movie called Unstoppable was made based on these events. Passengers recorded video footage of the aftermath of the collision between 2 trains at the Berdiash station in Chelyabinsk region, Russia. The footage shows the extent of the destruction. Deformed train cars and piles of metal are visible everywhere. The accident happened on February 12, 2024. In February 2024, to deal with the aftermath, 250 people were brought in. Because of the incident, passengers had to spend the night at the station. It turned out that the train driver who ignored the stop signal was under the influence of alcohol. It's clear that the issue didn't just end with his firing. And how he was allowed to work in that condition is also a big question. In the fall of 2012, an unusual incident occurred in Belarus that's more likely to bring a smile than serious concern. The focus wasn't on a runaway train, but rather a missing train driver. The diesel train running the Vlodava-Brest route connects Belarus with a border town in neighboring Poland and is quite popular among the locals. The focus wasn't on a runaway train, but rather a missing train driver. The diesel train running the Vlodava-Brest route connects Belarus with a border town in neighboring Poland and is quite popular among the locals. During its next trip, the train arrived in Tomaszewka. This agro-town is located just 15.5 miles from the Polish-Belarusian border, and Tomaszewka itself is located practically at the junction of 3 states, where there is also a border crossing to Ukraine. According to the schedule, the train arrived in Tamashovka at 11:06 local time and was not scheduled to depart until 16:30. It seemed like there was more than enough time, but for the train driver, it became a temptation he couldn't resist. Just 300 feet from the station, there's a forest full of choice mushrooms, and the driver decided not to miss the chance to go mushroom hunting. But when it was time for the train to leave, he never showed up. Just 300 feet from the station there was a forest rich in select mushrooms, and the driver decided not to miss the opportunity to go mushroom hunting. But when it was time for the train to leave, he never showed up. The assistant driver wasn't allowed to operate the train alone, and he was worried about his colleague's fate. Meanwhile, the passengers started to express their dissatisfaction. They urgently called in a new crew to get the train with passengers to its destination, and a search team was sent out to look for the missing driver. The missing man was soon found near the Ukrainian border. As it turned out, he wasn't planning to run away at all. He just got caught up in mushroom picking and got lost in unfamiliar territory. Anything can happen on the railroad, but sometimes the actions of certain drivers and conductors can be so ridiculous that you just wonder what's going on in their heads. It's good if they get lucky and come out alive. But if not, it's worth thinking about. It's good if they get lucky and come out alive. If not, it's worth thinking about. I have an interesting proposal for you, friends. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills, can voice videos in Russian, English, and other languages, or write interesting scripts, we will be glad to work with you. Write to our Telegram bot, link in the description. That's all for today, everyone. Take care.